Hello, fellow fantasy sports junkies. You are watching MFSN The Hub, and this is our Q&A on Tuesdays. It's every week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We keep those times just in line with the time zones so you don't get confused. That's just for you. Now, as usual, I'm here just hanging out. I'm looking on my computer. I'm looking at my league. I'm looking at what to do, but I'm also ready to say hi to anybody who shows up and to ask. I'm not going to ask questions. I suppose I could, but you ask questions. I'll provide answers. Sam Jacobowitz, our chat MVP, already here. How's it going? It's going well, Sam. It's going very well. Let me show you, actually. I'm going to move to our standings, and I'll show you how well it's going. How are you doing? How's your points league going? I remember you. Look at that. Right now, I'm up 8-0. Okay, we'll pull up the screen in a second. Here it is. 8-0 on Boom Shakalaka. There's not a whole lot of Boom Shakalaka going on right now. I'm up 8-0. I'm up more than anyone else. And Ubre's used socks is currently down 6-3. And guess what? He's in first place, just barely. I'm in second place. I'm about to storm into the playoffs, and I love my team. So it's going well. Sam, if you have any questions or observations or questions you want me to ask of other people, you let me know. And anybody else out there, if you haven't already and you're just coming to us, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I will answer you directly. So that means if you're watching this later, there's still no excuse to ask no question because I will still answer it. You can do it months later, and I'll still do it. So here's what we're going to do. I am looking around the league, and what I'm going to do is tell you what I'm thinking about. Now, first of all, I'm going to look back. See, it's a Tuesday. Oh, Sam is asking me if I'm watching the Celtics game. I would be, but I have this show to do. So, but hey, it's possible that Ross the boss is watching that Celtics game. I bet he is. So here, I'm going to show you the ads from this week because our ads happen on Monday. And, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. That was a brain malfunction. I want to view all. So I want to show you guys who was added, and you guys can weigh in on who you think the winners were. Okay? Now, I cut Tim Hardaway Jr. 2 weeks ago because he had a 2-game schedule, and I could pick up, what's his name? It's the guy you liked, Sam. I'm blanking on his name. 3-point specialist, Gary Trent Jr. That's right. Yes, I remembered. So I picked him up because he was basically Tim Hardaway Jr. with 4 games instead of 2. So I cut him. I did put in a claim for Tim Hardaway Jr. Would have welcomed him back, but he went for $9, and I currently have 4. So I couldn't get him. Kyle Kuzma, I think he's overrated. Casey picked him up. So Casey, if you're watching, I'm sorry to insult your player. I did put in a claim for him, but I wouldn't have paid $9 for him. Doug McDermott, I think he's pretty overrated also. Here's a guy I like. Ross picked him up. Malik Monk. Let's look at what Malik Monk's doing. Pulling up his numbers. What you need to see is what he's doing recently. Look at this. He had 1 game of 7 points, but in his last 7 games, he must be averaging well over 20 points a game because he had a 19-point game and 5 games with more than 20 points. Sam Jacobowitz is saying bad pickup. Which one, Sam? Malik Monk? I like Malik Monk, but we'll see. Kyle Kuzma. That's what you're talking about. Yes. Sam and I are in agreement again. Together again, agreeing. So Malik Monk is looking good to me. He's getting some decent assists, decent rebounds for his position. His shooting percentages seem pretty good, and he's scoring lots of points. And you could just scoop him off the wire. $5. Great pickup from Ross the Boss. Darius Beasley, I know he was high on him. He was his number 1 pickup in our waiver wire show on Thursdays. By the way, I should say, we have moved our waiver wire time. So we are now during the day on Thursdays. And I have to remember what time it is. I should have known that before starting this. I believe it is 1:30 p.m. Eastern. No, 2 p.m. Eastern, I think. 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll get back to you on that. I should know that. This is embarrassing. Okay, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 Eastern. So I actually was right in the first place. Just pretend I didn't say any of that other stuff. So adjust your calendars or click notifications. Click the bell for notifications, and you'll know. Now, I agree, Sam. Kuzma, not a great pickup. I don't think Darius Basley is actually that good of a pickup. Let's look at it. Then we've got Steven Adams, also not a pickup that I like. So Ross is 1 for 3. And if we were playing baseball, that would be good. We're playing basketball. 1 for 3. Not so good. Okay, we are going to see. Let's look at Darius Basley first. See how this guy's doing. Now, I just want to point out, look at what Ross put as his team name. Impeach Commish. Now, there's many problems with this. First of all, impeachment is a serious thing. I think we've learned that by now. Certainly hope so. Here's the other problem I have with it. I'm the commish. This is not okay. Ross, if you're going to be in my leagues, you have to respect the commish. In fact, you told me not to listen to anybody and do my own thing like a dictator, and I'm not doing that. I respect the people in my league, except if they don't respect me, so watch your back. Let's see. Sam Jacobowitz says, for $2, I think Adams is a steal. We're going to take a look at that next, Sam. Let me take a look. With Basley in the middle of the three pickups, I might agree with that. Now, look, Basley's season average is 214. That's not good, but that doesn't necessarily tell you much. We'll look. First of all, he's averaging 30 minutes a game. When you see the high minutes, that is a good indication that a player can put up good value. His shooting percentage is terrible. His free throw percentage is fine. He's hitting some threes. He's getting some points and rebounds. Here's where I don't like him. Steals and blocks. If you're going to have a low-end guy like Basley, steals and blocks is not looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out my handy-dandy 14-day average. It's my favorite thing to look at. 196. That's still not what we're looking for. You generally want something in the 120s and below. Generally, you want to get under 100 for good value. Let's see why this is. His free throw percentage is sinking. His steals and blocks are still terrible. Ross must have needed a guy who was rebounding. I think that's largely what's happening. He did lose Kevin Durant, so he's got for a bit here anyway. So there he is. Ross the Boss shows up. I was just objecting to your team name, sir. And I'll also tell you that if you're going to come into my baseball league, you're going to need to behave yourself much better because I take that league extremely seriously. We'll talk about that later. But I'm guessing that Ross needed a rebounder who put up some points with some threes. Basley's not a bad pickup. Let's see, though. Was he doing something remarkable in the last 7 days? No, he's been horrendous. But he is rebounding and putting up points. So, listen, this is the time of the year, and I've said this many times, this is the time of the year when we start to think about, no, I'm not highlighting impeach commish. That's not happening. Don't look there. Don't look there. Hold on. Scroll up. There we go. Okay. So this is the time of year when you do start thinking about winning certain stats. As you get closer to the playoffs, you want to make sure that you are on track pretty much to beat everybody 6-3 or more. 5-4 is all you need to win, but you don't want to go in thinking I'm going to win on this razor-thin margin. Try to win 6-3. You don't need to win 8-1, though. You don't need that stuff. Okay, we have a question coming in from Lucius Varenas 44, one of my favorite commenters. He says, good evening. Hope all is well as usual. A very polite commenter. Thank you. The last question I asked was regarding strength of schedule for playoffs. If you could pick one player for the playoffs in a points league, who would it be? Wow. See, this is going to require something more from me, Lucius. Now, what I need to do now is go to the NBA. Oh, Sam Jacobowitz says he would pick Harden. Harden is definitely a good pick, but here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to go to teams and figure out, oh, I know what to do. It's funny. There's so many options to do it. It's a little hard to decide. So I'm going to go to matchups, and I'm looking at, let's go to week 14. That's the first week of the playoffs in my league. Week 14. Is it going to show us this? No, it doesn't show us this way. Not helpful. No, thank you, Yahoo. Okay, so listen, what you can do is you can go to players. No, you're not going to get it that way either. So you're going to have to go to the NBA schedule. www.nba.com. we're going to look into it. Lucius, let me get back to you on it, but I'm going to talk while I do this, because otherwise I'll just be searching, and that is no good. Now, Sam Jacobowitz says, are you watching the Clippers game? Ross, I'll let you answer that. Ross the Boss says, keep Anthony Edwards or drop him for Bojan Bogdanovic. Not to be confused with Bogdan Bogdanovic. But actually, he is to be confused with him, because I do it all the time. Keep Anthony Edwards. I'll take a look at that in a second. But Harden is the guy to go. You know what, Sam? Maybe you can help me while I do this. Can you find out who has 4-game schedules? Now, look, Harden's great, but I also will say, if you have somebody on Memphis or Dallas, Doncic is actually probably a player, actually, Lucius, because they had so many games postponed, and it's because of the things that were going on in Dallas. They had COVID issues earlier. Then they had all kinds of things happening in Dallas. One of our producers, Courtney, could tell you she had to move out of her house. There was no heat. So she has a lot of games scheduled when the finals are coming up, because she had to move for a little bit. So I'd say go with Doncic, but Harden can't be bad. Harden has 4 games every week of the playoffs, says Sam Jacobowitz. Thank you for that information. You're hired. All Nets guys, so Kyrie and KD. Go ahead and grab Durant. He'll be back, and he'll be good. Now, I have Harden. Sam Jacobowitz says he would stay away from them for resting purposes. Now, that's another good point. You're going to need to pay attention to, our players going to be resting when the playoffs start to come around. If the Nets are coasting and let's say they don't care what their seeding is. You know, they pull a LeBron or a Houston Rockets 1994 team. Don't care at all. Just get whatever seed, win the championship as a 6 seed. That's Hakeem Olajuwon for you. Then you might need to watch out for the people who are sitting. Okay, let's get back to some questions. But I would say the Nets guys are a great call, Lucius, but I would say Doncic is another good way to go. Let's see. Looks like Sam was saying Beasley has high upside. Let me know if I have that right. I liked it when you called him Barley, though. That was pretty awesome. Okay. Sam Jacobowitz says Bojan over Anthony Edwards easily. So we're going to go back to that. Anthony Edwards. First he was in Top Gun, and now this. Let's see. For you youngsters out there, there was a movie called Top Gun with Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards as Goose. And every time he died, it was so upsetting I had to start the movie over to make sure Goose was still alive. And he is every time I start it. Now, Anthony Edwards, let's see how he's doing in the last 14 days. And then I'm going to check out Bojan. 141. Now, he's ranked 141. He has terrible shooting percentage, and a rookie could keep up having that terrible shooting percentage. We will have to see. Sam Jacobowitz points out Edwards' percentages are garbage. Absolutely. Low assists. Yes, but he's averaging 1.1 steals a game. 0.9 blocks is not insufficient. 16.3 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.4. Right now, Sam, this might be one time where we disagree, but maybe. I don't know what's going on with Bojan. Let's see. Bojan, last 14 days. Now, this is not the end-all, be-all, last 14-day average. He is outplaying him. His shooting percentages are better. I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards. It's very close, but here's why. I like Anthony Edwards with more blocks. He's bringing more in rebounds and steals. He's a little more balanced of a player. I think he helps out your roster more. So we will agree to disagree vehemently. Or maybe not. Doesn't have to be vehement. Okay. Ross the Boss asks, should I drop Lauri Markkanen and pick up Jusuf Nurkic? My first question is, how many teams are in your league, Ross? You can't do it in our league, I know, because we're too deep for that. But Jusuf Nurkic versus Markkanen. Listen, unless if you're in a 10-team league, maybe I could see that. But otherwise, I think you try to own both of these guys. Markkanen, let's see, when is he coming back? He's doubtful to play on Wednesday. If he's doubtful now, it means he will be back. That's not what I wanted to do. Come on. You know that isn't what I wanted to do, Yahoo. Cooperate. I would say, look, they know that he's coming back. They know he's coming back soon. He's doubtful right now. So I would pick him up. Lucius Varenas says, appreciate the response. So I have Giannis, the Greek freak, or Greek the freak, as Ross the Boss once called him. Would you trade him for Luka? Sorry for the hard question in advance. No, Lucius, this is great. Great questions. You're bringing the heat. Listen, I think it would really depend on your playoff schedule, but all things being equal, I think Luka's actually a little bit overrated. I would keep Giannis. That is what I would say. All right. Oh, Bruce Brown, worth an ad? That's a question. Give me a second. I need to get back to where I was. Fantasy basketball, please. I closed out my Yahoo by mistake. It was some kind of error of the mind. All right. We are going to look at Bruce Brown. I'm going to say, yes, he's worth an ad, especially in a 12-team league. Here's the real question. How worth an ad is Bruce Brown in a 10-team league? In a 12-team league, he should be owned. And I want to see, did he get picked up in our league or not? He didn't. Now, I put a claim in for him, but I was too busy claiming some other people. So, well, you see him, I have him on my watch list. I'm just like revealing all my information all over the internet right now, but okay. I'll have to win, even with you knowing everything that I'm doing. So, Bruce Brown, let's see what he's been doing lately. I know it's been good. Okay. He's ranked 73 overall. Really good shooting percentage right now. I mean, and this is a shooting guard. Is he going to keep up shooting 64% from the field at shooting guard? No, probably not. You do have to remember, though, these are Yahoo positions. Where he's actually playing in Brooklyn, I don't know. He is going to get great run, especially with Durant out. Not hitting a lot of threes, good scoring, rebounds are fine, assists are relatively low, and he's a steals guy. He's a back-end guy, but he's showing some good upside. I would say he is worth a pickup in 12-team leagues without question. Is he worth a pickup in 10-team leagues? Very borderline. You got to see what's out there. Lauri Markkanen and Yusuf Nurkic were asked about before. I would own them before Bruce Brown. So that's what I say to it. Sam Jacobowitz has weighed in on Bruce Brown. Who's that? That's Bruce and Ruth had a kid, and his name was Bruce. And Sam Jacobowitz is saying, hell no, unless you are in category league. We are in a category league, Sam, so that is certainly possible. But he says no because when KD returns, he's going to take his minutes, and I have to agree with that. We're also in agreement that Yusuf Nurkic is due for a big bounce back. And now we have a question about a trade. Jokic and Rubio for Bam, LaMelo, and Ingram. I got Jokic. Yes. When you see Jokic in a trade and you don't have another top 10 player that you're giving up, take it immediately. I love all the trade questions, by the way. And I did get a trade done. Did we talk about this? I traded. I think we talked about it on the waiver wire show, actually, not here. I did actually end up trading LeBron James, but I got Karl Anthony Towns. And the reason I decided to do it is I noticed that LeBron's numbers were starting to sag. Everyone thought that his numbers could be monstrous with AD out. I actually think it's in some ways the other way around. There's too much heat on him. I don't mean too much heat like LeBron can't take the pressure, because that dude can take the pressure. But he becomes less effective. His shooting percentage goes down. He could have a lot more turnovers. And so I think that I would rather have Karl Anthony Towns. The problem I've run into, let me show you what problem I've run into. Let's see if anybody can spot it. Sam, let's see if you can spot the trouble on my roster. Or Ross the Boss, or Lucius Varenas 44. Tell me what problem you see on my roster. It's coming up right now. I've got it on my screen. Let's see. I agree. Karl Anthony Towns is the best. I'm going to circle it for you. Here it is. See this big C? And this big C? And this big C? Well, how many of these can I play at once? I'll show you. I can play them at center. I can play them at utility, but I cannot play them anywhere else. So this is the only problem that, we just found out Sam's age. Awesome. Sam, I'm not going to report your age unless you want it known, though. You can let me know. So, what we're looking at here is I traded for Karl Anthony Towns, and he only has center eligibility. That means I am looking to deal Enes Kanter or DeAndre Jordan, because I'm not going to trade Karl Anthony Towns. And I want to get back a player of equal value with a different position, because when it comes playoff times, I'm not going to be stuck with 3 centers, because I'm not going to be able to play them all. That will end up coming back to haunt me. All right, now I'm going to look at something here. Ross, the boss, offered me a trade, and I'm starting to see a trend in some of his trades. He offered me a trade. So I offered him Enes Kanter for Al Horford. So everybody out there, tell me, which side of that deal would you want to be on? And is it fair? I thought, fair trade, I'd rather get Horford. So that's, and it's because Nurkic is coming back. Now, of course, Ross knows this. So, maybe that's why he didn't want it. He offered me back Michael Beasley. Does everyone know the problem with Michael Beasley right now? He was just suspended for 12 games. And I have to remember even why. What did you do, Malik? Conduct stemming from his arrest back in September. He's going to take some time to reflect on his decisions. What did you decide, Beasley? Jesus, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. No, enough bad news. I agree with you, Sam. Horford easily. Ross the Boss knew this, so he countered with Beasley, and look what ended up happening to Beasley. He got cut, which shows me Ross offered me a player he was getting ready to cut anyway. And that also shows me he doesn't value Enes Kanter very much, because he was offering somebody he was just going to get rid of anyway. And then he canceled it and cut him anyway. It was for drugs? All right. Well, Malik, we wish you well in your drug rehab situation or whatever it is. He flashed a gun at a kid. Jeez, the world. Ugh. I hope that you're joking. Anyways, let's get to the waiver wire and see who's providing some value. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, see, I looked. Claxton. I was like, I wonder what this guy's doing. He's at the top of the list, but guess what? He has only center eligibility. But he has just started to play, and he had one relatively good game. Doesn't look like a pickup to me. I don't know why he's ranked 63. It's just because his shooting percentages are so good. And his blocks, 1.8. Not something that I would be interested in. Same thing with, I think his name's Ty Jerome. He's played in 1 game. His average is very good. Now, listen, Beasley floating on the wire, I would be tempted to pick him up. But the problem is, look, he's got this out designation, an O. If he had the INJ, I'd pick him up in a heartbeat. This is a thing to do in leagues where you only pick up players on certain days. Pick up injured players, stash them in the injured list, and then you can bring them off the bench when they get better, and you've got an extra player. So all those people that are complaining, and Ross, yes, I am going to include you because you do it vociferously. You could have extra players just like me. I've been doing it, and that is why I'm beating you right now. We have a history so far. We're only 1 season in to our fantasy matchups with each other, but you haven't beaten me yet. Of course, we haven't played that much, so we weren't in the same football league. That you might have beaten me in. I'm up 8-1. Let's see how Ross the Boss is doing. How are you doing, sir? I can't find your name because I've blocked out Impeach Commish. You're winning 5-4, but you're winning over the 3rd place team, Alabama Sweatstorm, so I'll root for you there. I'll root for you there, sir. Go ahead and knock the 3rd place team down. And let's hope So Bad Need an Assist can manage to handle Oubre's used socks. I don't think that is going to happen. So let's talk about Malik Beasley. Sam has Malik on his team as well. And Ross the Boss says Beasley is a beast, but it shows you how much of a bad situation it is when you've got a player suspended for 12 games. What it means is you're going to be carrying around completely dead weight for at least 3 weeks. And that's if they have 4 games in a week. Now, one advantage you have here is that it is the All-Star break week. In the All-Star break week, you have a 2-week schedule against one team. This means you can get half of Beasley's suspended games in one matchup. That's very helpful. Now, I want to remind everybody out there, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, change your mind if you don't like what you're hearing, put your comments below. I will respond to you personally. And now let's get back to the All-Star break. If you can get rid of those 6 games in 1 week, because it's a 2-week matchup, that actually is useful. So I got to say, I've got my eye on him. And also now he's going to be on the wire for one of those weeks. So he's going to be picked up soon enough. But when you have that O designation and you can't be stored in the injured slot, then he's dead weight. You're carrying a player that you cannot start. Now, I'm going to give you a little lesson in good commish skills. We've got a team that's called Impeach Commish, but actually I'm a very, very careful thinker about commissioner things. One of the things that came up is I saw players like Malik Beasley, not Malik Beasley himself, sitting on the wire. They had the out designation, and you have the option in Yahoo to change the settings on your league so that you can actually put in a slot for players who are out but not on injured reserve. An unscrupulous commissioner would change that mid-season. And I'm telling you, that's not something to do. Don't change the rules on anybody mid-season, especially not if they put some money in. That's not cool. It's not even cool if they didn't put money in, but you shouldn't change the rules on people mid-season. I don't care what anybody says about how you should be handling, things in your league. Don't change the rules in the middle. And I'll tell you why. Let's take a look at this. What if I change the rules? And there are managers there are commissioners who will do this. They'll change the rules and then they won't even tell anybody. And then they'll just go and scoop up Malik Beasley and put him in that slot. And then they'll argue, what? You could have done it too. That's not true. As the commissioner, you have to let people know. So let's get back to some of the questions. Oh, Ross does notice that I am killing him in basketball, but he notes that in hockey, I'm getting killed. It's true. This is my first year in fantasy hockey. I haven't paid attention to hockey since 1999. Let's put it this way. When I came back and I checked out hockey, I was shocked to find out that the Detroit Red Wings, I can't say it. The Detroit Red Wings were the worst team in the league. When I was watching, they had Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov, and they were the best team in the league. I don't understand. You have kids, and then this happens. Anyways, I'll get back to it. Sam Jacobowitz is saying he's starting fantasy baseball too. Let me put in a plug for that. We are starting our fantasy baseball coverage this week. It's going to start to come out. We're going to talk about baseball strategies, and the following week, we're going to start to roll out our position previews. Me, Casey, Ross the Boss are going to tell you about all the positions, starting pitching, closers, all the positions. So don't miss that. Now, what that means is, if you haven't done this already and you're just tuning in, click subscribe, hit like, but especially subscribe. No, I'm kidding. Especially ring the bell for notifications, because that is how you're going to know when things are coming up. And put your comments below and I'll get back to you. So let's take a look at the standings. What do we think is going to happen? I'm going to look at my league. By the way, Sam or Lucius or anyone else out there, if you are interested in bringing your league onto this Q&A, all you have to do is get in contact with us. You can put it in the comments, and we'll let you know what our email is, or you can send a message to us. What is our email? Where is that? My producer will get it to me soon, and I'll tell you. The other thing is, if you want to come on the show, you can go to www.callmfsn.com, and you can come on video or audio, either one. So I'm going to look at the standings here. And here's a way this is something you can do if you are looking to figure out what is going on with the standings up to date. You click something called Stat Tracker. Thank you. Our email is thehub@mfsn.tv. I don't know why I always forget it. But anyways, I think it's because I don't spend a lot of time emailing myself, but that's probably what it is. So right now we are looking. It's a little blurry because the text is a little smaller, but if you click to live standings, this is a way you can see where you stand right now. I'm winning 8-1. Now look, I will vault into first place, and I will be 15 games ahead. I suppose it's more like 14 of the 6th place team. But I will say this, look, Young Guns, this is a team that's been up and coming, and he's pushing Ross the Boss out of the playoffs entirely. Ross, are you going to stand for this? You talk a big game, my friend. Let's see what ends up happening. I need to check the time and see how we're doing. Okay. So Sam's asking a question about baseball. I'll humor you with that even on this basketball Q&A. Target pitchers. I would say yes. A really nasty starting pitcher gives you 1/6 of your innings for the whole year. A really good hitter gives you less than 1/9 because he's not going to play the whole time. So I say go grab some big-time pitchers. First time I played in a league, I didn't even know what I was doing, and I drafted Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay. This was in 2006, and sadly, Roy Halladay has passed since then, which is hard to believe. I don't remember when that was, but I took those 2 players, and everybody laughed at me. They were like, oh, you're taking pitchers early, and guess who won the league? Me. I like this observation, Sam. Jason Tatum is a huge buy low. Let's check this out. We've got some buy lows going on here. Always. Okay, he's ranked 24th overall. So for you to say he's a buy low, Sam, I would say that means that he must be doing even better recently than 24. Because 24 is pretty good. And his average in the last 14 days is actually 46. Well, what's happening? What's happening in the last 7? 77. Let's check the last 30. Jason Tatum, 45. Interesting. So actually, Sam, I would say he's starting to tail off, but that actually may be your opportunity. Buying low is always about perception. So what you want to do is take a look and see how is he going to be being perceived. He was ranked 11th coming in for the season. Let's see how he's doing overall in his total ranking. 30th overall. I mean, look, I would still say he's a decent buy low because if you can get him, yeah, exactly. That's why he's a buy low, because he's been doing worse. He is likely to rebound. And actually another thing to factor in is, do they have that 4-game schedule come playoff time? I don't think any team's going to have 5 games. Every once in a while, a team has 5 games in a week. And that's something to watch out for, because when that happens, it's a real game breaker. So yeah, I would say Tatum is a buy low, but you're still going to have to pay a lot. So here's the question. Would you trade LeBron James for Jason Tatum? Right now, LeBron James could be seen as a buy low, but he could be seen as someone to sell. And I'm going to take a look. He's ranked 32nd overall, but recently 54. So see, I would say LeBron is a buy low. I mean, look at these numbers. They're just delicious. He's got great field goal percentage. His free throw percentage is obviously not very good. His turnovers are not very good, but everything else is monstrous. And he's ranked 54th, and that is largely because he doesn't shoot well from the free throw line. That's the kind of player I'm willing to take on, especially come playoff time. I should see if I can get LeBron back without giving up Karl Anthony Towns. But here's the problem. I have to get him from Chris Atwater, Alabama Sweatstorm, and he's listening to this show all the time. So now he knows what I'm doing, and I might as well be emailing myself. Let's see. Luka has 5 games? Are you serious? In which week? As I told you, though, Dallas is going to play a lot of games. So, I'll check that out soon. Actually, I have a Dallas player. Actually, this is a player I want to highlight. This is one of my best pickups of the week. I was very happy to have him. Jalen Brunson. Oh, let's see. How's Dylan Brooks do? So I just picked him up. Okay, I picked him up for the points, and he gave and steals, and that's exactly what he gave me. So that's good. Who's this? Is this at the start of a game? Oh, Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, 0 for 1. 1 rebound and 1 turnover. You're in the doghouse, buddy. We'll see. Jalen Brunson, though, let's take a look at what he did in his first game as a Hot Rod Time Machine member. 24 points, 1 steal, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 9 of 13 shooting. Now, is he going to keep up that hot shooting? He's been pretty hot. But I picked him up because I really was lacking in point scoring. I'm trying to shore up my team for the playoffs. And that's what you want to do at this point. If you are in playoff position, then what you need to be doing is looking at which stats you're usually winning. Let me show you a little trick about that. We're going to go to league settings. If we go to league settings, you can see here that current standings has a little caret by it. And if you go to head-to-head stats, here's where you can find out some information on how your team is doing in the individual stats. This is a compilation of your record for the entire season in every single stat. So here I am, Hot Rod Time Machine. It's totally random where it puts you, but I'm 3-7 in field goal percentage and 10-0 in free throws. This is not surprising to me because I built a team around James Harden. James Harden's field goal percentage is going to be relatively on the lower side, and his free throws are outstanding, and he takes a lot of them. The chance of beating me in free throws is currently 0, but I think it'll probably keep up that way. I don't think I'm going to lose that. Every once in a while, I can squeak out wins in field goal percentage, and when I do that, I'm in good shape. My 3-pointers might need a little bit of work. I'm 5-5. My points definitely need some work. My rebounds need some work. My assists, good. Steals, good. Blocks, excellent. Turnovers, good. This is a good look for going into the playoffs, though. I'm 10-0 in free throws. I do very well in assists. I do quite well in steals. I do great in blocks. I do great in turnovers. I'm already looking like I'm probably going to win 5-4 against most matchups. So if I shore up, let's say, 3-pointers or rebounds. Now, keep in mind, I just added Karl Anthony Towns. That should give me some rebounds. If I can turn Enes Kanter into something where it's going to be a human, but if I can turn Enes Kanter into a human being who performs with rebounds at a position other than center, that helps me in rebounds. Then what I'm going to do is look to add a 3-pointer, a 3-point guy, and a points guy. That is why I added Jalen Brunson and Dillon Brooks. Both score points. Meanwhile, Dillon Brooks also helps me in steals. I'm looking to solidify. If you notice, I'm paying no attention to field goal percentage. I did not expect a rebound in that. That was a good pun. I will rebound in rebounds. I will not rebound in field goal percentage. The fact is, that is a category I'm not likely to win. If I can get my 3-pointers and my points and rebounds up, though, I stand a decent chance to beat many teams 8-1. Now, I'm not expecting that, but I like to go into the playoffs with that possibility because that gives me a chance to just win 5-4. That's all you need to do in the playoffs is win 5-4. A lot of people, they get so hung up on trying to win 8-1 that they actually spread out the talent on their team too much. I'm looking to win maybe 6-3 just to feel safe. Definitely 5-4. Also, don't forget, turnovers are the most. That is the category that you can manipulate the most. Late in the matchup, when you get to let's say later Friday night, or certainly on Saturday, take a peek and see. If you are set to win 4 categories already, and there's no way you're going to lose them, manipulate the turnovers and you will win 5-4, and there's nothing they can do about it. I want to check out somebody else's league. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like looking at my league, but, and this is something I would be doing anyway, because I'm looking to assess how am I doing. And these just gives you some ideas. Thank you, Sam. My team is looking good. I agree. I want to see your team. We traded emails. Now let's get to a place where we get your team on here. Only if you're comfortable, though. I understand you do not have to do it, but sometimes when I'm looking at my team, I just want to see how they're doing. Everybody knows I like last 14 days. So I'm going to click on that and see. Now, in the last 14 days, here's a guy that I'm a little concerned about. Nicholas Batum. I've been talking him up, not that much lately. I just feel like he's still a very good player to own. He does some good things across the board. He has not been performing well of late. If you see the rest of my team, these numbers down here, Marcus Smart, 501, he's been injured for weeks. So that's why his ranking is low. Otto Porter Jr. and Keldon Johnson. I picked up Otto Porter Jr. last week. This is one of those players that I scooped up. He was injured and now he's playing. Look what happened with Keldon Johnson. He was injured at the beginning of the week. I stashed him, and Ross the boss, look at this. I've got an extra player. Anytime I want to bring Keldon Johnson in this week, I can cut a player if I want. Let's say I decide, you know what? Fine, I couldn't get trade value for Enes Kanter. Maybe Keldon Johnson is a guy that can replace him. And now I've got him for free because I was thinking ahead. You always want to use every roster spot that you can. But looking at this, the only guy that concerns me at all, because I see a lot of good numbers here. Karl-Anthony Towns is 4 overall. James Harden is 7 overall. Chris Paul is 13 overall. That's what I like to build my team around. 3 great players. And they're playing like it. LeBron was starting to fade a little bit, so I traded him. If I look at the last 30 days, Chris Paul is doing exactly what I said he would, by the way. So let's just note this. He's ranked 10th overall, and this is in the last 30 days. But let's see what he is for the season. Did Chris Paul do what I thought he would? Ranked 16th overall, and I got him. This was an auction draft, and I got him for, I think it was $23. That's cheap to be able to get a player that you can almost pencil in or even put in pen that he's going to be in the top 30. He does it every year, and it's because he plays so many minutes. He gets tons of assists. Look at his assists on the year. He gets steals. His free throw percentage is great. Even his field goal percentage is great. He's an ideal guard to have. And the fact that he doesn't go for higher in salary cap drafts or auction drafts, as they used to be called, or in snake drafts, is simply because people think, oh, he's old, he'll break down. There are some players that are just so mentally tough, they don't break down. Now, he is one of those. I'm looking at Batum on the season, because remember, he's the guy I'm eyeing. He's ranked 52nd on the season overall. I'm just going to say this secret for those in our league who are watching this. Obviously, the cat's out of the bag. But I could try to sell Nicholas Batum. I would never do it to Ross the Boss because he never even liked Batum in the first place. I remember these things. Don't forget what your league mates said. You'll insult them if you say, oh, you like Nicholas Batum, and they'll be like, I told you I hate Nicholas Batum. Pay attention to what they're saying so that you can offer something they'll actually like. I'm not saying Batum is a terrible player to own, but he does rank 52nd overall on the season, which is great. But in the last 30 days, he's down to 95. And in the last 14 days, 208. And in the last 7 days, 110. Actually, he's been better this week. So he may buy some time with me. So Sam Jacobowitz says, I could tell you my team right now. Yeah, that would be great. But here's the thing, Sam. It's very fun. You don't have to do this, of course. But if we get a chance to do what I'm doing, but in your league, then we can go around and be like, look at this team. Why are they owning this player? What I like to do is analyze an entire league. This was an idea I had a long time ago. It's called Fantasy Consultants. And the idea is you bring your team and your league in and you ask, what should I be doing to get better? We look at waiver wire possibilities. We look at trades. We look at your team balance. This is the kind of thing I want to be doing. So I'm just putting it out there right now. Anybody who's watching that wants their team and their league featured on here, please just let us know, and I would love to do it. All right, let's see how we're doing on time. We're running low on time. Are there any questions for me? This is a Q&A, and I have been giving you a lot of answers, and hopefully they have been helpful to you. But I got to say, I'm really liking my team. You know, Enes Kanter is the other guy that I'm thinking about shopping. As I told you, it's because of position eligibility, but it's also because Nurkic is coming back. Everybody knows that he is going to lose some value. But if I can give a reasonable offer, you know, Horford would have been a good get for Enes Kanter at this point. But you never know. Nurkic could come back and get hurt. Kanter could be a great value. So I don't want to sell him for nothing. DeAndre Jordan, he's got, you know, warts of a different kind. So, and mostly it's his free throw percentage. Let's see how he's done in the last 30 days, though. This is what I'm doing when I'm looking at my team, though. I'm trying to evaluate who might I move on from, who might I want to shop. DeAndre Jordan ranked 132 overall in the last 30 days. He's providing really good blocks, but I have Miles Turner and Karl-Anthony Towns now on my team. So am I going to need DeAndre Jordan? Probably not. However, I am the best free throw team in the league, and this is a low free throw percentage. So DeAndre Jordan's probably a very good fit on my team, more than I would get for anyone else. In any case, if there are no more questions, I will look for you guys next week. You can always write in questions in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. I love questions. I love to be asked fantasy sports questions and answer them, so you just let me know. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and as I said, put your comments below. We'll be back here same time next week. We also do have a hockey waiver wire coming up this Friday, and that is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. You have 3 seconds to tell me if I'm mistaken. Okay, they're not telling me. So, 6 p.m. Eastern? Okay, well, I was wrong, and I'm glad you told me. In any case, thank you for tuning in. This has been MFSN's, I was going to say waiver wire show, but that's actually on Thursday. And remember, it's during the day at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 Pacific. If you like to wake up to a late breakfast and check out some waiver wire, come join us. Thank you for watching, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Everyone is happy with the new flavor of Killcliff CBD Strawberry Days. It's clean energy. Makes your days more pleasurable by infusing strawberries right into your drink hole. Look at Sally. Her drink hole is happy. Way to go, Sally. Get the world of tomorrow today at killcliff.com. The biggest no-brainer in the history of drinks.